Gentlemen, what are your earliest memories of Niki?
Yeah, I go back so far I can't even remember.
I was invited to a test of Brabham to Le Castellet. You don't remember it anymore. And I was in Formula 3 and I got an invitation. I came there. Unfortunately, the car breaks down. I couldn't drive it.
Never
was your
broke
car?
down.
It never broke down. You didn't want that. I hadn't got into the car. And that's where Niki I met first time. And Niki immediately said, come on, I show you the circuit. I show you the braking points and then. So I would have done a lap record if you would have kept the car running.
And Toto, you were related in some way to Niki, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, semi-related, the cousin to my ex-wife. And it was bizarre because Niki was big in Austria. And the ladies organized a dinner. And I got to meet him. And I used to commute between Warsaw and Poland and Vienna. And the only thing he was interested in was knowing about how much people were in the aircraft to Warsaw, whether this was an interesting route for Lauda Air to fly in.
How would you describe Niki as a man?
He always tells straight what he thinks about it, right or wrong, but everybody over all this time know if Lauda says something, he really means it. There's no politics, there's nothing involved, it's straight on the point and he means it.
I mean, he left your team mid-session, mid-season in Brabham.
Yeah.
He just walked away.
No, not true. Not true. He told me he was going to leave at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I said to him, you know when you're going to leave? He said, yeah, at the end of the year. I said, you're leaving now. Yeah, I said, you leave now. I said, because you imagine you have an accident today and you're laying in a hospital thinking you leave at the end of the year and you're not going to be able to leave and not be able to do anything. You go now. He said, well, what shall I do? I said, get your clothes off now, leave them there, get in the car and go.
How good a driver was he?
You know what, when I started racing, Niki wasn't my idol because I thought, for me, a racing driver was Jochen Rindt. And at one stage I said, why is he 3 times world champion and never been world champion? So I started to study him a bit more. And then I said, well, he has pole position on Nürburgring, still the quickest lap on Nürburgring. This must be somebody. And as more I study, I could see that he was a guy very talented, very intelligent, very focused, very disciplined.
You thought he was special, Bernie. You paid him a lot of money to drive for Brabham.
We were the first, he was the first guy to get $1 million.
$1 million.
Yeah.
Cash. Did you get your value? Were you happy?
Of course.
Money well spent?
Yeah,
Transferred to the Caribbean.
I think what people admire so much is the drama and the glory that is linked to his life, that he is a triple Formula One world champion. He nearly got killed and severely burned in a Formula One car. He came back and won the championship again. He stepped out of the car in the rain in Japan and left a potential fourth championship on the table. All these things are made for a fairy tale.
I mean, you worked with him in more recent years. Toto in business, he's a good businessman, obviously.
We were parachuted in this Mercedes project together. He didn't know that I was coming. And then we ended up running it jointly, and the first 6 months were really difficult because he went off that path and I went off the other path, and in the middle it was Ross Brown. After 6 months it came to a clash, and the Daimler board said, can't continue like this. We want you to be involved. We got to talk. So they summoned us to Stuttgart airport. So we flew in. Niki waited downstairs and for me, and I came and he said, we got to talk. And he said, you know what I was thinking? I think together we can achieve our goals quicker and easier than against each other. He reached out the hand and we shook the hand. One of the directors asked the question, so can you two do this together? And he looked at me and said, we've sorted it all out, agree? And it was that split-second decision where I said, I think we can do this together. And I shook his arm, and since then, he has never let me down.
He is, if not one of the most remarkable, special human beings I've ever met. An amazing man. What will you miss most about him?
I tell you what, I don't miss Niki because I think he's still here. I don't wake up and think he's not around.
I was on a plane journey overnight a few weeks ago, and I woke up and I had the feeling, like Bernie says, that he was sitting next to me. It was a really strange feeling because I've had this hundreds of hours with him sitting right here, and I had the feeling that he was here, and it was very, very real somehow.
He had done in his life so many things. You need 1,000 years, another person needs 1,000 years to experience all what he experienced.
He was just a buddy that we could have a real laugh, and we had so much fun. We were a traveling community, the two of us, like from the Muppet Show on the plane, and it was such an important safe harbor for me too. And I'm missing that safe harbor now outside of this better